And so now that the recording has started, this is a class on the Evening Bell Chant. And uh, the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to mute everybody except for myself just for now. Um, and then in the course of this class, we probably won't have time for it, depending upon how many people are interested and willing to do so, but we will have a chance for people to actually do the bell chant themselves, so we can get it, so both you can get a chance to do it, to practice it live in front of other people, and also so that all of us get a chance to hear different people doing it, um, and uh, which is always a good thing. um, but first of all, you're going to get to hear me do it, um, and so I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I can get this done right here. And I'm gonna, here we go. Okay, here it is. Let's see. All right, so this is the actual bell chant here, the words to it. Now it's a little bigger. So one thing that is kind of I'm going to turn off the captions here too. There we go. One thing that is an extra added issue when you're doing this online is that your audio settings have to be set up so that the bell doesn't sound clunky or worse. And I just want to do a quick test. Could people hear the bell? It sounded decent. Okay, good. All right, because it's kind of, it's a bell chant. So, I mean, I'm not an expert at either the chanting of the bell chant or the bell part of the bell chant, um, but I want it to sound as good as I can make it to sound. All right. So now I'm going to start. Munjong song bone dan jihe jang bori sang i jiok chul samge won songbo dojong sang pa jiok jinon om gara jia sabaha om gara jia sabaha om gara jia sabaha. Okay. So Oh, actually, yeah, I do want to keep sharing my screen because now I want to go over. I just want to go through the whole chant. Um, and at this point, so everyone's muted, but if somebody has a question or want to interject something, please feel free to just kind of jump in. I think this is a pretty friendly crowd. So if somebody has something to say, please say it or ask a question or
I just
anything.
have I just
Yeah,
have one little thing. I guess so I have the old quantum.
yeah, uh-huh, yeah.
They've got knee instead of e.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
So that's wrong. I mean, sometimes, and one of the reasons why I know that's wrong is because Stanley Lombardo says it's wrong. And also Kathy Park says it's wrong. And so I'll have some links to, um, I've got a link. So Kathy Park is a teacher in the quantum school. She's in Korea. She is a native speaker of Korean. And Stanley Lombardo is a Zen master. Received transmission from Zen master Sung San, and I mean, he's a scholar of Chinese, and a really invaluable source for learning more about the chants. And so I've got a link to a recording by Kathy Park doing the chant, and also a link to a talk given by Stanley Lombardo on both the Evening Bell Chant and the Morning Bell Chant. Um, and so also on the Kansas Zen Center, where Stanley Lombardo is one of the teachers, they have their own uh, version of the chanting book, and one of the things, it has that corrected in it, and then it has some other things in it that Stanley Lombardo has added. So anyway, but yeah, there's sometimes it's a judgment call, but in this case, that's just incorrect. It's E, not E. So let's look at the chant right now. All right, everybody can see my screen, I think, right? Can you see my screen, Ben? Okay, good. I'm gonna change this just a second. I'm gonna pin myself again. All right, good. Now, um, oh, what did I do? I went back one. So we'll get to the pronunciation notes in just a second, but just going over to for and I'll talk about this more if people are interested. Um, but for each syllable, this is a chant that is done in syllables. This is a poem, okay? And for each syllable, there is a Chinese character, a Korean character, a phonetically spelled out way of pronouncing it, and then the meaning here. So there's four things for each syllable. And so one thing that you'll notice is that uh, sometimes you have so sometimes it says eo and sometimes it says o. These are different sounds in Korean. This is the Korean way of pronouncing these Chinese characters. So the chant is actually in Chinese. And I'm just going to briefly fast forward a little bit to show people. Um, Wait, here it is. So Thich Nhat Hanh, I learned something about the uh, Evening Bell Chant from Thich Nhat Hanh, or reading about him. When he was 16, in the year 1942, he became a Buddhist monk in Vietnam. And one of the first things that they had him do was to memorize a little booklet that was written in classical Chinese. Vietnamese Buddhists, Korean Buddhists, Japanese Buddhists um, traditionally have always used Buddhist teachings in classical Chinese, just like Chinese Buddhists. And so the little booklet that he was given to memorize is Essential Vinaya for Daily Use, which was written back sometime in the 17th century. Um, and it's a collection of gathas, little verses, for different activities during the day: putting on your clothes, eating, getting up in the morning, going to bed at night, doing your laundry. Little verses. So let me just get a. I can't see everybody all at once. People are familiar with this phrase gatas, a gata. some familiarity with it? So a gata is like the practice of using gatas is essentially a very simple mindfulness practice. It says, here's a little verse, and when you're brushing your teeth, recite this gata. When you're taking a shower, recite this gata. And actually, at some retreat centers, in fact, I know some Rinzai retreat centers, in the bathroom and in other places, there'll be these little gatas that are put up everywhere to remind you. Like outside the shower, it'll be the gata that you're supposed to take while you're taking the shower. In front of the mirror, there'll be the gata that you're supposed to recite while you're brushing your teeth, etc. And it's actually quite a mindfulness practice. This particular gata is the Evening Bell Chant is one of these gatas. In fact, it's the third gata in this little book that Thich Nhat Hanh was given to memorize. Let's see. Oh yeah, good. And so here it is from. You can look it up if you know how to look up Chinese texts, Buddhist Chinese texts online, which I kind of do. You can track this down. And one of the things that you'll find when you find, so here's the bell chant right here. These lines here, each of these 3-character lines is one verse of the bell chant, ending with the mantra Om Gata Jia Sabaha. Although they have here, this is Soha, which is an alternate way sometimes that East Asian Buddhists pronounce the Sabaha. But before the actual gata itself, there's a brief explanation given by Master Duty, who's the guy who put together this collection of gatas. And it says, in the morning and dusk, when walking, standing, sitting, or sleeping, as soon as you hear the sound of the bell, recite this verse. Okay. So that's where this comes from. And so in what Zen Master Sung San taught people to do when he taught us the Evening Bell Chant was this verse. This is Mun Jong Song Bo Ne Dan Ji He Jang Bodhi Sang E Ji Ok, etc. All right. So now I am going to go to. I just want to spend a few minutes going over the pronunciation. And the thing is that pronunciation of the chant is like any other aspect of practice. You do your best, right? You know, do you always keep your spine absolutely straight while you're sitting? Sometimes people close their eyes. Sometimes people have less than perfect Maha Mudras, when they're sitting. Sometimes people don't even do the Maha Mudra at all when they're sitting. They do some alternate way of sitting. Many people can't sit in full lotus. I can't sit full lotus. I've never been able to. But we all do our best when we do sitting meditation, and we all do our best when we do chanting meditation. Some people, as the old joke goes, some people carry a tune like a concealed weapon, but most people can, can. I have no talent for singing, for carrying a tune at all. It's taken me many years to get even, to get so that I can just kind of barely do it. But at the same time, you do your best. And that's true for pronunciation as well. So it's kind of good to have an idea of what the pronunciation is supposed to be. But when you listen to people do the chant, and when people do it together, you don't go around correcting other people's pronunciation, and you don't beat up yourself either for your inability to pronounce it exactly correctly. You just do your best, and everyone else is doing their best too. But it is a good idea to have some idea of what the pronunciation is supposed to be. And so on the next slide, so this is the chant again here, okay? And so whenever you see an EO, you might as well just pronounce it O, unless you know something about Korean pronunciation. In fact, and I'll actually show a slide that has some links to some YouTube videos if you really want to try to learn how to pronounce vowels the way they're pronounced in Korean. good luck with that. I'm in my second class. I'm taking Korean classes online, and pronunciation is very, very difficult for me. Um, but when historically, when Zen Master Sung San's students first started doing these chants and they started writing them out using the letters of our alphabet, that's called transliteration or romanization. Um, they approximated the sounds of Korean, and in the vowels that are pronounced instead of o, which is my poor attempt to pronounce this vowel. They just wrote O for either way. And so this, if you again, Ben, if you look at your chanting book, or if anybody else has a chanting book from Furnace Mountain or any Quantum School Center, or if you download, there's a bunch of different uh, Zen centers around the world that have their chanting books online that you can just download. They all will have here Song, Song. Um, but that's actually, if you want to work out what the syllables actually mean, it's helpful to have the correct um, spelling in Korean. Okay, same with bon will be spelled bon. This syllable right here is we, and I always just chant it ne. Koreans will often chant it that way, ne too, but it's technically its correct pronunciation is noe, like a W here, noe. But and it's actually so here it means what does it mean? Bone away. Oh yeah, bone away is actually very important. This means the kleshas, the afflictions. This is the thing. This is what we many people translate as greed, hatred, and ignorance in the second of the four great vows. This is what the second of the four great vows is about. Is bone away, which is the afflictions, um, or the kleshas. Actually, this is a Chinese word that is the Chinese translation of kleshas. And just as in the four great vows, we vow to eliminate or abandon the greed, hatred, and ignorance, or the kleshas. Exactly the same wording is used here in the Evening Bell Chant. Uh, this final word, dan, is also when we say abandon, greed, hatred, and ignorance rise endlessly. I vow to abandon them. This is the Chinese word that we're translating as abandon in that version of the four great vows. And okay, so the second syllable here, this is also the Korean word for brain, which is kind of interesting. It's not in any way related to the usage here, but the brain is obviously a source of many of my kleshas. I don't know about yours, but um, that's one way to. I don't know. I find that amusing for some reason. The other thing to, oh yeah, and the in terms of pronunciation, so wherever you see EO, if someone like me is trying to spell out the pronunciation correctly, and you see EO and you don't really know how to pronounce that, just pronounce it as O, because that's what everybody's been doing for like 30 or 40 years since Zen Master Sung San first started teaching people how to do these chants. Um, and when you say CNOE, just pronounce it as ne. That's so here, whenever you see an E in any of these chants, it's pronounced as a pure vowel, which would be like AY or something like that if you wanted to approximate the way we would normally spell it in English, just A. Um, and wherever you see AE, it's also pronounced A. And this also, Koreans don't distinguish between these two, but they spell them differently. So it's A or A. Anywhere where you see AE, it's pronounced as A. Anywhere where you see an E, it's pronounced as A. Anywhere you see an I, it's pronounced E, which is also a pure vowel. And the only other thing about this is that each line has, this is a poem, and each line in the poem has 3 syllables until you get up to the last 2 lines. The second to last line is the name of the mantra, and then the very last line is the mantra itself, which is repeated 3 times. Okay, so that's I don't want to I don't want people to experience death by PowerPoint. So Um, that's kind of the a lot of the main information that I wanted to present. I've got some other things I can show and tell people, um, but I'm wondering what people want to do now. What are we interested in? Do you want to talk more about the pronunciation? Do you want to look more at the meaning? I actually talked a little bit about the origin of the chant, where it comes from. We know that it goes back at least to the 17th century in China. And of course, this guy Du Ti, he didn't write it. He was like a collector of gathas and put together this handbook. So it was already around back then. So we don't know. I don't know how much further back it goes. But what what are we interested in doing now? And I know I have at least one volunteer to actually do the Evening Bell Chant, and we definitely want to do that. Here's some different voices. Yeah,
I would,
Catherine.
I just like to do some chanting. I mean, I've
Hmm.
gone to some chanting at Furnace Mountain where they
Hmm.
just did chanting retreats, and
Hmm.
it's really, you know, I like that.
Yeah, yeah, right. So yeah, chanting retreats are great. Although I can only chant for so long. I mean, if I chant for like 2 hours, my voice has pretty much had it. And Koreans will do chanting retreats that last for days, where they're basically just chanting all day long. And once you kind of learn how to navigate Korean Buddhist chanting videos on YouTube, I mean, it's very common to find people who are just chanting a mantra over and over again for 3 or more hours. But I can't do that. But I like to chant. So yeah, we'll do more chanting. Questions or comments, or things you want to raise, or hi Fatima. Yeah. But you muted yourself again, I think, Fatima.
Can
Yeah.
I ask a really really boring question?
Yeah. Hmm.
Just for the bells, I was trying to
Oh.
use my mobile phone just then, but I couldn't find an app. What kind
Oh.
of bell is everyone using? Are they like
Ah.
special ones or
Right.
um
So, and that's good. I know that several people here do have bells, and you can. This is my special bell. I made a point of getting a new bell before I did this class, because I wanted to make sure that I had a $10 bell that I bought, and I usually try to buy things from Buddhist supply stores or local bookstores, whatever. I just ordered this from Amazon. Um, it's a Tibetan singing bowl. It's actually made in Nepal, and you can spend hundreds of dollars on bells, and you can get really nice bells. I have some really nice bells, and I have bell envy of people who have even nicer bells than I do. But this is perfectly usable. And um, one thing that I talk about in the how-to video that I did last week, that's on YouTube, and I've got a list. I've got a slide that has a list of resources, and I put my own version of the my own how-to video up there along with other things. But one of the things I talk about in that video is the function of the bell in the chant, and the function of the bell is and so the function of the bell in less supernatural terms is just to hit the mind, to be as a mindfulness practice, to awaken the mind. And the instruction in that ancient, handbook of gathas is, when you hear the bell, recite this verse. Okay. Um, but traditionally, there's also a belief that bells are capable of warding off demons or demonic entities. And this is not something that only Koreans believe. If you do a Google search on demons and bells, you'll find lots of information about Christian churches, ringing their bells to ward off demons. I found a Sanskrit verse that Hindus recite, that praises the power of the bell to ward off demons. And that's also, so the reason why it's kind of important, whether you believe in demons or not, or even if you think it's completely ridiculous to believe in demons, there's a really nice thing about the bell chant, which is that at the beginning, you're always supposed to hit something that isn't metal, because it's the metal in the bell that's supposed to have the sound of the ringing metal is what's supposed to be very uncomfortable, painful to the demons. And so you give them a warning so they have a chance to get out first, and then you hit the bell, and also the wooden sound is also an invitation. If the demon wants to stay, they're welcome to, as long as they don't cause trouble. So it is good to have a bell, and you can get a bell for $10 on Amazon. And you know, it's nice to it's a nice, I think it's a really nice practice. I really like it. But I like bells and things like that. So yes, that was a question about bells. Anybody else want to show their bell, or should we do some bell show and tell? Who else has a bell that they can show us, and let us hear it. Let's hear and it's best to do it probably one at a time. Somebody want to just unmute and ring your bell, and we can also, yeah, okay, Dave, go ahead. Yeah, now that kind of cut out, which is what happens. Yeah. Let's see. I can if you go into your, if so if you look down probably at the bottom of your screen where your little microphone icon is, there's a little up arrow caret thing, and if you look at the actually you don't even have to go to your audio settings. You can just go to the test speaker and microphone, and oh yeah, okay, and if you have your microphone, if you have your microphone test active and you hit your bell, then you should see how long the sound resonates. And that's a good test. I don't, is this making any sense to anybody? I'm not sure if I can show this live. I'm not sure if Zoom will allow me to show my, I can try. I'm just gonna show my audio settings. Can you see my audio settings? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, okay. I don't think it works like that. Yeah. But well, I can tell you what I have my audio settings set to without even sharing my screen. And different people will tell you different things. But if you go to audio settings under audio profile, you should have the background noise suppression set to low. And that's what works for me, to allow me to make a bell sound that other people can hear on the Zoom meeting. And I know.
Kurt, are those Zoom settings, or are they in the iPad?
Yeah, they're actually in the Zoom meeting. So if you click on the up arrow, next to the microphone and click on audio settings, there should be an audio settings option there. And then you might have to, and then you should see somewhere on their audio profile. You might have to go into advanced, but if the audio profile shows up, then you want to have Zoom background noise removal selected, and then set the suppression level to low. It depends on whether you're on an iPad or a Mac or a Windows or an iPhone.
I don't see it on mine.
Yeah. So I should try to make a YouTube video that actually demonstrates how to do this, because I know I for months or maybe even years I didn't realize that my bell was not working at the morning sittings until Catherine told me a couple weeks ago, and then I thought I had it set to the right settings. Anyway, so but that's even if you have a bell. Oh, one thing I should so one thing that would be good to talk about before we go to um, people trying this themselves is just to talk about the patterns, okay, that there are, and so that yeah, that's. Oh, who is that?
Ooh, I think that was me. I didn't know I was unmuted.
No,
Sorry.
that was good. No, but that sounded good. That sounded good. Okay. So Jennifer, your bell works. Okay. Anybody else want to try a bell to see who's got a yeah, go ahead, Catherine. Or Sue. Okay. Catherine's settings are good. Sue, you want to try yours again? Yeah. One more time. Yeah. So your settings aren't quite right, Sue. Jason's got his hand up. Hi, Jason.
Hi there.
You,
Let me
you want to
try
try a
my.
bell? Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good. Can we see that bell? That sounds
Oh
like a
yeah.
nice bell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I thought so.
This,
That sounded like a pretty big bell.
now this
Nice.
is one that I got in Canada when like a metaphysical bookstore was kind of unfortunately going out of business,
Yeah.
and this was like a pretty expensive bell that I think I got for $30.
Oh,
So it's a
nice.
good
Oh
find.
yeah. Big one like that will cost more than $10, from my experience. Yeah. Oh. Hey, Claire and John, want to test a bell? Yeah. Didn't hear anything, Claire. Want to try it again? You're unmuted, but I don't. Can you speak, Claire? I'm not
Uh,
hearing. Oh, okay. There you are.
yeah, and the bell is pretty loud here, so let's try it one more time, but
Yeah. So, yeah, Zoom has too many Zoom, yeah, the default settings on Zoom assume that anything that's like really loud should be suppressed. Because we're all supposed to be in a business meeting right now, I guess, according to was that clear?
yeah,
Okay, that's better. Did you change anything?
I changed it from Zoom background noise thing to browser built-in suppression. So,
Browser. I never heard of that one.
I,
Browser
I,
built-in suppression.
yeah, and I don't have that setting, like there's no way to change a level on mine.
Yeah. So what kind of computer device are you connecting here with?
It's a MacBook Air.
Yeah, Mac. I'm on Windows. Let's see. Let's see. Anybody else want to test a bell? No, Deborah? I don't hear anything, Deborah.
Here's
Hitting.
it. I'm on my phone and
Mhm.
I can't really get to the controls like I can on my computer.
Right. Okay. Uh, okay. So that's not a completely unimportant, irrelevant issue because if you're uh, like here, if you wanted to um, try to do the evening bell chant live, and the bell doesn't work, then it's hard to do. But at home, if you're by yourself, you don't have to use Zoom when it's just you. Or if you're with a group live. Now, Emily was with the Cincinnati Center last night. That was live, right? Yeah, right. So when you're live, you also don't have to. Well, so if it's a hybrid meeting, then of course you would have to have the Zoom settings set up, ideally. Anyway, oh yeah. So before I do want to talk about the pattern. So the kind of the instrumental part of the chant. Um, right. So So I've got some words and some symbols on here that are supposed to help you to see what to do. So it says here at the beginning, 2 fast wooden hits. So that's the followed by 3 slow wooden hits. Okay, so that's let me, sorry, oh, and also the captions keep coming back on. All right, so up here in this box up here, what I'm reading from, at the beginning, 2 fast wooden hits followed by 3 slow wooden hits. And so that's what sounds like this. And that's the yeah, and so Jason sent a chat saying he'd love to discuss a little about the meaning and the significance of the chant as well, and hopefully we will have time for that. That'd be great. So the again, I'll do that again. It's just 2 fast hits and then 3 slow. And that's the warning to the demons. And then you hit the bell 3 times, but it's 2 fast hits and then 1 slow hit. It's kind of it's kind of like Morse code, you know. So, and then each of these big red circles is a point during the chant when you hit the bell. Okay, and so you just say Munjong Song Bone Dan Jihei Jang Gordy Sang Yi Jiok, then hit the bell. Chul Samge Won Song Bo Do Jong Sang Pa Jiok Jinon, hit the bell again. And then when you recite the mantra 3 times, you recite the mantra once, Om Gata Jia Sabaha, and then you recite the mantra again, Om Gata Jia Sabaha, and you hit the bell once at the end of the second mantra, and then I don't have it notated in here, so I should actually fix this on this slide. The very last time that you do the mantra, it requires a little bit more singing than chanting. It's Om Gara Jia Sabaha. And so there's actually 2 or 3 2 fast hits and 1 slow hit, all on the last syllable. Sabaha. And so that and that final is I don't know if it's unique to Korean Buddhism, but it certainly is. I've never heard any other Buddhist traditions where they have that, and and some Korean Buddhist monks will really give it a very martial sort of sound, but everybody does that part quite differently in my experience. Joe, I mean not Joe, Ben. I think Ben has her hand up.
Yeah, the wooden hits that's not a mock tuck, right? Are you hitting like the frame of the bell, or are you hitting the floor? I forget.
Right. So, yeah, generally speaking, in a properly set up Korean Buddhist temple, there's a huge bell that sits on a frame on the floor, and you hit the bell with a big wooden hammer. Okay, and the wooden hits are done on the frame of the bell. You wouldn't want to hit the floor because that could mark up the floor, but usually you hit the frame of the bell. But if you don't have one, and if you get a bell like that, that's going to cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get an authentic Korean hanging bell. I'm sitting at a wooden table, so I'm just taking my thing that I hit the bell with and hitting the table. if you have a moktak, you could do it on a moktak as well. And at the very end, at the end of the okay, I have to do the final part of the bell. When you're done with the bell, then there's supposed to be one final wooden hit, and that's actually supposed to be a moktak hit. So there's a little bit of choreography involved there. The person who is the moktak person is supposed to be listening for when you are done with the bell chant, and then which raises another issue in that this is usually done as a solo chant, which I don't like. There, I said it. It's the tradition, at least that the Zen Master Sung San taught, was that one person does his chant. And actually what that ends up meaning is that in many Zen centers, most people never learn this chant, and which is a shame. But there's an asterisk in the instructions that Zen Master Sung San gave to people. It says this is a solo chant, and then there's an asterisk, and if you look at where the asterisk leads, it says except during ceremonies. And so if you've ever been to a ceremony when the Evening Bell Chant was done in unison, it's beautiful. It's really wonderful. It's first of all, it is a very beautiful chant, but I think it's especially nice when people do it together. So after the first time I heard that chant being done in unison at a ceremony, I started trying to convince other people to always do it that way. But now the group that I'm part of always meets online, so we just listen to Kathy Park's recording. Anyway, but yeah, the last part of the chant, after you finish the Om Gara Jia Sabaha, then you do another like that, and then you do what's usually referred to as a roll down of the bell, and that's actually the thing that makes the Evening Bell Chant the Evening Bell Chant, because when you do this, and I'm gonna do this as best as I can, you start with slow, loud hits, and you end with rapid, quiet hits. And that it symbolizes the sun going down. And you can do this as a morning bell chant. There is another morning bell chant that's much longer, but you would just reverse that, make it so that it represents the sun coming up. And then after you do the roll down, then you do again 3 hits, and then either you or the moktak person makes a wooden hit, and that's a sign for everybody to bow. And it's also the signal for the bell person to leave the station wherever the bell is and come sit in their normal place, because usually if you have a big bell in a temple like at Furnace Mountain or any Korean Buddhist temple, the bell is off to the side somewhere. Anyway, so now, if there's questions or any comments, or there've been several really good questions or things that people have brought up or asked so far. But I would like to hear someone else do it. And I know that Emily has no stage fright.
I'm not sure my bell is going to be able to be heard. Can I test
yeah,
that?
sure. Test it out. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. So
No.
it's not sounding at all.
Okay.
Do you,
I'm on
are
a
you?
phone and I can't get
Oh,
to the
okay.
settings. So
Yeah. Okay. Uh, any other takers? Any other brave souls? I mean, I don't want to put anybody on the spot. So one thing we can do for people whose bells do work, one thing that does take a little bit of practice is this, and so I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and I still can't do it very well. Is the roll down part, okay? Um, and so the thing that I always do when I'm trying to do the roll down is just to make sure to start off. You want to start off like that with clear, distinct, fairly slow, loud hits, and you want it to end. Can you hear that? The part that I'm kind of hitting it fast and relatively slow. And then the trick is to do something in between that is kind of that gradually transitions from the loud, slowly paced hits to the soft, quickly paced hits, and that takes a little bit of practice, or in my case, it takes decades of practice to even get kind of halfway good at it. Um, Anybody want to try that on their bell? Anybody who has a bell that has settings that work?
I can try it.
Okay, great. Yeah, yeah. That sounded really good. And it's similar. I don't know who here has ever done the Moak Talk for any kind of chanting. So there's a similar skill set with the Moak Talk. When you do, if you've ever noticed how when at the beginning of most chants there's a roll down with the Moak Talk, and that is the sign for everyone to bow at the beginning of the chant. And there's often, I think, a roll down at the end of a chant again. So and in some chants have lots of bows in them, and every time you do the roll down with the Moak Talk, it's a sign to bow. Anybody else want to try so uh, you can do the chant. Actually, Emily, since you did the chant last night, you can kind of sing it without the bell. Do you want to try that? Because actually that's one of the things, hitting the bell sounds pretty much the same from one person to the next. But the thing that is always kind of interesting is to see how people chant it, because it's often quite different. Do you want to?
sure,
Okay, great.
we'll go for it.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna hit the desk
Yeah.
instead of the bell.
Okay, yeah.
Can you hear that?
Mm.
No? Okay. Bong jong song bone dan ji he jong long boi sang li jio cho song he long song bo du jong se pa jiu jino o o ya jia sabaha o ga jia sabaha o o o o sabaha
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
So does anybody else want to try it with or without a bell? Because
Yeah, I'll go.
okay, great. Thank you. And so I'm gonna and if you're so inclined, and if you're somewhere where you feel comfortable, please chant along with Dave as he's doing it.
So I don't know if you hear the bell. I'll do the whole here in my bedroom. Moon Jong Song Bone Dan Jihei Jong Bori Sang Ni Jiok Chul Sum Ge Wan Song Buldo Jung Sang Pajiok Janan Om Gara Jia Sabaha Om Gara Jia Sabaha Om Gara Jia Sabaha.
Thank you. Excellent.
Well,
Yeah. So and if we all chant along with the person, with the brave soul who comes forward to do it, with unmuted, if we all mute ourselves and chant along, then we're all getting practice chanting it. So anybody else want to give it a try? Even if you can't, even if you can't get your bell settings to work. No pressure. Okay. I do want to okay, I do want to play one recording. I've mentioned this before. I was really happy when I discovered, I don't know how I found it. Well, actually, but now it's pretty easy to find. So Kathy Park, like I said, she's a teacher in the quantum school. She is Korean. And so it's really good to listen to her, because I figure if I can pronounce it as closely as I can to the way she's pronouncing it, then I must be doing it okay. Although most of the people that she practices with are not Korean speakers. So I'm not sure if she's chanting it the way she thinks we chant it, or if she's really chanting it in the and then of course there are famous recordings by Zen Master Sung San as well, which are beautiful to listen to, but which are not really of much use for learning how to do the chant, because I would not suggest that you try to do the chant the way that Zen Master Sung San does. Although, that's just I can't pull it off. If you think you can pull it off, more power to you. But I'm going to find my slide that has links on it. Oh yeah, here it is. And then I'm gonna just so the recording of Kathy Park is just an audio file. So I'm just going to play that, and then we can all chant along with her, and you should be able to hear the bell pretty well on hers as well. So I'm going to share my screen just so that you can just so that I'm sharing the sound, and so you can see where I'm clicking here. This is the Kathy Park. This is on the Quantum School of Zen's their main European website, and if you click on this link, it takes you to a page of chanting resources, and then you scroll down and you find the one that says Kathy Park. You can hear that when she's hitting the wood. You can. That's good. Okay, good. I'm going to back it up. Just start from the beginning.
문정성 번외단 지혜장 보리생이지요 출삼계원 성부도 중생 파적진원 옴가라지야 사바옴 가라지야 사바 옴 가라지야 사바
Do you know if there's an approved tempo or time or
Excellent question. I know different people do it differently, and I know I have my favorite way of doing it. I don't. I'm almost positive that the answer to your question is no, that there isn't an official. And in fact, in the Choge order of Buddhism in Korea, and which is only one of the it's the largest, but it's only one of the Korea the Buddhist groups in Korea. It is, I think, by far the largest. If you go to different temples in the Chogi order, they will do not just this chant, but different, pretty much all the chants, at least somewhat differently, and sometimes quite differently. I've listened to quite a few different recordings of Korean Buddhist monks and nuns doing various chants, and there, there is a lot of variation. The the Choge order even has a committee set up to somewhat regulate the way people chant, and the Koreans are very technologically savvy. They make recordings of the chant that are officially approved and send them out to people, and then people listen to those to learn how to do the chants. And then once people learn how to do the chants, then they kind of often end up developing their own style, and different groups of people at different temples develop their own style. So no, there's not. There's variation, quite a bit of variation, different styles. Oh, I wanted to. Is it okay? Can I play that again? I didn't really have the words set up. I would like to play Kathy Park's version one more time, and just if for no other reason, then we can all chant along with her one more time to get some practice, and then we'll talk about anything that people still want to talk about after that. Is that okay? You put up, you can stand one more go through. Good. Okay, now I've got it set up. I'm going to start.
문정성 번외단 지혜장 보리생이지연 주삼계원 성부도 중생 파죽진원 옴가라지야 사바옴 가라지야 사바 옴 가라지야 사바
Okay, so and listening to recordings and chanting along with recordings is the way Korean Buddhists learn these chants, including novice Buddhist monks and nuns who have just signed up and are supposed to be learning how to do these things. That's how they learn. They download MP3s onto their phones and put on their headphones and chant along to learn them. So I would encourage you to try that, to learn the chant. And you can always do this chant, on your own as part of your own practice. It's a good way of clearing away the demons and, kind of saying basically, okay, I'm going to meditate now. So we can talk about, I know that there was one request to go over more about the actual meaning of the words in the chant. And so we can do that. At this point, I don't know how, let's see. I don't know how much more people have, how much energy people still have. I do want to make just, one announcement about the future of these meetings. This is the first time that this kind of, Buddhist chanting, Tuesday night chanting group has met. And what we'll do on the first Tuesday night of each month is we will just focus on one chant like we've been doing tonight, focusing on the Evening Bell Chant. Next month, we'll focus on the Kanzeon chant, also known as the Extend Life 10-phrase Kanon Sutra, which is, I don't know, it might even be shorter than the Evening Bell Chant, just in terms of total number of syllables. Kanzeon Namu Butsu Yobutsu and Yobutsu and Bupo Soen Jo Rakugajo Chonen Kanzeon Bonen Kanzeon Nenen Jushinki Nenen Fudushin. That's a great chant too. So we'll do that next month. And then on the other Tuesday nights, this group, whoever wants to come can come, but we'll just be doing chanting. And I can show, let's see what I got. I got a slide here. It shows what we'll be doing. Oh, am I sharing my screen? Yeah. Sorry. All right. Now you should be able to see my screen and see the, what to look. It's about an hour of chanting that we'll do. There'll be a break, or is it? Yeah, it's an hour. It's not that long, but it's it's a lot of chanting. And we'll start with the Evening Bell Chant. We'll do the Homage to the Three Jewels. We'll do the Kanzeon chant. We'll do the Heart Sutra twice, the Korean version and the English version. We'll do the Great Dharani. We'll do Yaksa Yorebul chanting, which is Medicine Buddha chanting. And that'll be the first half. Then in the second half, we'll start with, I can also, if people are interested at to hanging out for just a few minutes at the very end, this is a really short chant that takes less than 2 minutes. Very beautiful, ancient Korean Buddhist chant, Wisong Song of Dharma Nature. And then Jijang Bosal chanting and Thousand Hands and Eyes Sutra chanting. And then so this will be like on this the second and the fourth Tuesday of each month. On the third Tuesday, we're gonna you can chant the entire Diamond Sutra in like a little over a half an hour. And so we'll do that with the spelled out, the sounded out syllables displayed on the screen. And to be quite honest, I'm doing that because I want to learn how to chant the Diamond Sutra, and I don't know how. There's only one way I'm ever going to learn how, and that's by doing it. And I'm kind of inviting people to do that along with me. It's how the Diamond Sutra, hearing the Diamond Sutra being chanted, was how Huineng, the sixth ancestor, the guy who wrote the Platform Sutra, that's how he attained his Great Awakening, without knowing what it meant. And the person who was chanting it didn't know what it meant. So just hearing that chant is supposed to have tremendous benefit. Anyway, so that's what I've got for now. If there's questions or a continued interest in wanting to talk about the meaning of the chant, we can do that, or anything else that people want to bring up at this point. The floor is open. Sounded like somebody unmuted.
Well, I was going to say the last bit, the Om Garajya Sabaha. What's your translation of that Sabaha?
So the Sabaha part means Sabaha.
Right, I meant the part before.
Okay, well, okay, and
different Sabahas.
The what? I'm sorry.
Different chants have different Sabaha lines, so I was just wondering what this one was.
Oh, right. So again, the Om part means Om. The Sabaha part means Sabaha, and the rest of it, I have yet to find a good. So essentially, what you have to do is you have to reconstruct the original Sanskrit syllables. And even then, a lot of times the syllables are what's called seed syllables or bija syllables. That's not always the case. A lot of times, once you find out what the original Sanskrit is, it's Sanskrit words. Like in the Medicine Buddha Dharani is all translatable as a as a list of words and names and things. Parts of the Great Dharani are translatable. I have not been able to figure that out for the Om Garajya Sabaha. I know so you should always be able to know what the general meaning of a mantra is by what its title is. And so the Pa Jiok Jinon just means the shattering hell mantra, the mantra that shatters hell. And there's actually a longer version that if you learn the morning bell chant, which is much longer, also very beautiful. But there is a Pa Jiok Jinon in the morning bell chant, and it's much longer too. Well, it's about 3 times as long as the one in the evening bell chant, but it's another shattering hell mantra. But no, I don't know. Anybody here know what Om Garajya means in Sanskrit or any other language? It usually is possible to find it somewhere, but usually you need to read Korean, Japanese, and Chinese in order to work it out. I can't read any of those. I can kind of make them out a little bit. And Google Translate sometimes helps. Although often what Google Translate is usually not very good at translating mantras at all. Although it can be very humorous to see Google Translate's attempts to translate mantras. I know that I think it was Dave who had expressed an interest in talking more about the meaning. Do you want to say something or ask something about that?
Who was that? Jason?
Yeah, I think it was me.
Oh, it was Jason. I'm sorry. I knew it was somebody.
I'm just curious. I'm sort of new to the chanting, and I'm just curious as to, I'm sure they had a reason to pick certain chants and do them when they decided to do them. And so I'm just more curious about why this was the evening bell chant and what was the significance behind the reason for picking that for that particular time of day and all of that.
Yeah. So in the I referred to this handbook that was written back in the 17th century in China, which was just a collection of gathas. And there isn't, as far as I know, there isn't an explanation given by the person who put together that collection as to why each chant was. Although this chant says right in it, hearing the sound of the bell. Those are the first 3 words of the chant. So that makes it a bell chant. And the tradition in Buddhist temples is to ring the bell in the morning when everybody's getting up, and ring the bell at night when the people who live at the temple are going to bed. And in the instructions that are given in this 17th century handbook, where this gata comes from, it says when you hear the bell in the morning or in the evening, so people might be anywhere, including not even people who live at the temple, because the sound from the bell travels quite a distance. It says when you hear the sound of the bell, recite this gata, and so that's kind of built into the chant itself in this particular case, and it's also explicitly in the instructions that accompanied this that have accompanied this particular little poem for at least the last several hundred years. But where it originally came from, yeah, I mean that would require going back even further. And so when Zen Master Sung San taught people to chant, he taught people to do this chant in the evening and a much longer bell chant in the morning, where the chant itself is longer and the hitting of the bell is much more elaborate. Yeah, and so a lot of that just comes from tradition, in Korea. But what you'll find is that those traditions are very much connected to traditions in China and Japan and Vietnam. That's one of the reasons why I really like this example from Thich Nhat Hanh, was because he was taught this chant, in Vietnam in 1942 when he first became a monk there. But it's good to ask, because there is information that's available, and a lot of times people will say, just chant, which is the kind of the Zen thing to do. But it's also very Zen to want to know where things come from, and to inquire and look into it, and to find out for yourself, even if everybody else just tells you, just chant, don't worry about what it means. Which is fine. That's good. That's actually good. You shouldn't be too attached to what it means, but you also should think for yourself, and try to find things out on your own. Okay. Well, it's almost 8:20. So my goal was to, I didn't really know. It really depended upon how many people showed up and questions and interest and stuff like that. I'm glad we filled up the time pretty well. It's really been great to see everyone. If before we end, well, actually, we should probably end by reciting the 4 great vows together. How about that? That's a good way to end things. We'll do that. I've got it here somewhere. Sorry. So I'm going to share my screen so we can all be literally on the same page. You should be able to see that now, right? The 4 great vows. Okay. So, sentient beings are numberless. We vow to save them all. Delusions are endless. We vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite. We vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable. We vow to attain it. May whatever excellent qualities we have gained from this practice be extended for the benefit of all beings. Okay, so that's kind of the official ending, and also the 4 great vows can be chanted as well, and that's something we could do. Right? We could talk about it. It's a very nice short chant. But otherwise, thanks for coming, everybody. And you can, if you want to unmute and say goodbye. Be nice to hear everybody's voices one last time. One of the great things about chanting is we get to hear each other's voices.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone. Good night.
Thanks so
See you
much for
next
coming.
week.
Thank
Bye.
you so much, Kurt.
see everybody.
Good to see everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kurt.
Bye.